Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. So this one is for the Sweet and Sassy Scrapper online crop I was a part of last weekend, and this was for their spring themed layout. So we just needed to create a layout that was spring themed, super simple, and I had the perfect pictures for it because I have some photos from quite a few years ago now of Billy and my cat Gracie with our Easter basket. And since Easter is right around the corner, I figured it was the perfect time to do this spring themed layout, especially because it was for a challenge. So I am back with my One Canoe 2 Willow, trying to piece together this pink paper I want to use as my background that I had previously cut up thinking I was going to use it as a layer on a previous page and didn't. So now I'm piecing this page back together into a 12 by 12 and at some point I'm just going to have to figure out how to cover up those seams. So already in my mind I know I have to have some sort of horizontal element to cover up where you can see I'd cut that paper. But for right now, I'm going to mat these two photos together. I'm trimming them down a little bit so they can fit on one of these 6x8 papers. So I'm just going to mat those on this scrap, or I think this is a full 6x8 of this really cool emeraldy green paper. And that's going to be where I'm starting. I definitely wanted to use this minty scripty copper foiled piece that was from I think one of the first pages I did using this collection that I've also been hoarding, so I'm trying to get that used up too. I really think for Easter the light pink and this mint just look so nice together and just screams Easter to me, but I do like the dark pop of this super emeraldy green, so I'm going to try and pull that into a few pages, few parts of this pages, but for right now I'm just going to mat that. I definitely am thinking about different embellishments that come in this collection that is this yellow, pink, and green combo. So that's kind of where I'm going. Billy's yellow, so I'm thinking I'll pull some of those yellow scraps in on the page. But yeah, I think this was his first Easter, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was his first Easter. So I definitely wanted to scrapbook this one, and just for kicks and giggles, I decided to put my cat in the basket and take a picture of her as well. And yes, she does have one eye, so your eyes are not playing tricks on you. She was actually a barn cat that we rescued from a friend's barn. A feral cat had come and had kittens and left, or something happened to her, one or the other, but there were only two kittens that we were able to find that we ended up taking in. So unfortunately her brother had like a grade 4 heart murmur and some developmental issues, so I think we had him for like 4 or 5 months, but he ended up not making it. But this is Gracie, and she's my cat, and she was pretty much okay, other than she had some really bad eye infections and they ended up having to remove one of her eyes because of that. It was either keep the eye and she's gonna be uncomfortable and have to be on eye medications her entire life, or just remove it. And so I figured if I don't care if she doesn't have an eye, if she's gonna be more comfortable. So that's kind of the story of why she has one eye. But I do have the scrap of this green paper that I matted these photos in, so I decided I would do a border punch on either side of it to create this ribbon and have that go across the page. That way the seam is covered. And then since I did pull in that darker green and I have this two-tone green thing going on, I thought it would be a really good chance to fussy cut one of the globes that come in the cut-aparts, just because there's two-tone green on that as well. And it's on this pink that is very similar to the background pink, so I thought that would be a great time to use that. So yeah, but it's pretty simple page. I just knew I needed to get that seam covered, so that pretty much created my design for me and told me where I really needed these layers to be. But I did want to start creating kind of a title cluster on the bottom part of the page. So that's what I'm working on now, but I am still going to gut the chunk of pink that's behind this minty paper. I think it's a really nice subtle pink to hold on to for later on when I have getting down on the papers, because I notice when I get to the end of these kits, I have a lot of the busier papers left over, and sometimes it's hard to use all the busy papers together, so I'm trying to be cognizant when I can to save some of the more subtle papers, so I'll have them for later on. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and I'm just piecing it all together. And then we'll start working on the bottom cluster. I just know I want this globe to be a main element in that embellishment cluster, and I definitely want to try and pull in all of these pattern papers I'm using on this upper part of the page. So I'm going to try and pull in that minty script, that emerald green, and that mustard. So I have a couple strips of them already on the sides, so I decided that I would just layer them up on the bottom. But the green strip looked kind of plain how it was, just next to the photo covering that seam, so I'm going to cut this piece of this mustard yellow and lay it over that. That way I introduce that yellow I was wanting to introduce, and it makes that look a little bit more interesting. So you can see me layering that up, and then that will get glued down over the seam from the pink paper. So that's pretty much all I have right now. The only embellishment I have pulled out so far is the globe, but I know I want more than that. But for right now, I'm just going to work with what I know I want to use, and then I'm hoping I'll figure it out along the way. But I still had the perforation on the edge of that paper, and it wasn't quite lining up with that ribbon, so you can see me just trimming up that edge so it's all in the same spot. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and have that globe down there. And now you can see me messing around with all these different pattern papered strips. So I'm just going to cut chunks of all of those and have them down there. And I love doing that. It's just such a cool way to automatically balance all of these patterns and these papers, to just use a little bits of it across the page. And so I thought it would be nice. I definitely wanted this globe to be sitting on a shelf, so I figured layering up all these strips into this multi-pattern shelf would be a good way to do it. So I think that looks really cool. I'm going to go ahead and glue all that down. I just really wanted to try and keep the mint paper in line with the chunk of mint paper that's above it. So you can see it's going to sit into the page about an inch, but then I'll branch out with the other paper so it does go towards the edge of the page and there's not like an awkward gap. But for whatever reason, my eye wanted that mint paper to be in line with the chunk that was above it. So that's kind of why I decided to build it there. That's what my brain thought of. I ended up covering that side of that paper anyways with the globe, so it didn't really matter, but that's kind of what I was thinking when I was layering all of these. And then I decided to pop that globe up on some foam so there'd be a little bit of dimension and some interest, so I just did that really quick too. And then I decided I had this big open spot next to the globe, and that would be a great place for the title. So I'm pulling in the thickers that come in this collection, and my first couple titles I wanted to use, I was out of letters for, so I decided I could do something as easy as fun. So I'm using the thickers to write the word fun. And then I'm going to go in with those freckled fawn tile stickers to complete my title. But I'm doing something else right now and I can't see what I'm doing. Oh, I decided to go in. There are two birds that come in the ephemera pack that I've been dying to use, and I feel like Easter is one of the best spring type layouts to get birds on pages. And they were perfect with the color scheme I was already using. So I did just take a moment to pop those up on foam as well. I had to fix the bird that I wanted layered over the globe just so it laid flat, because the globe is already on dimension, but I wanted this bird to have a tiny bit more dimension over the globe, but also run off the edge of the globe. So I had to figure out a way to, with the dimension, so that it just laid how I wanted it to. But I think that looks really nice, and I mentioned in the kit share that I was really happy that they gave you birds looking in two directions, and this is what I mean. I really love that they're in two different directions, because they frame your page really well when they're both facing in. So I do really like that too. But now I'm going in with my title, and you will see me misspell the word Easter, because once again I am watching TV and not paying attention. So I do fix that, and you will see the correct spelling in the final pictures. There was another layout earlier this month, the one that said "so grateful." I misspelled the word grateful, which I did catch, but it was after the video was edited, and I just could not make myself have to do it to include the correct photo. But I did fix that as well, so if anyone caught that, thank you. If you did, let me know. I don't know at this point. It's not live yet on YouTube. But for anyone who is worried, I did go back and fix that, so thank you. So here we go. I loved the way it looked spaced like this with Easter with 5 letters instead of 6. I thought that looked really nice. But of course we can't have the wrong spelling, so I did go back and fix that. But I think that looks really nice, and I thought this freckled fawn orange was similar enough to this mustard. This yellow that comes in this collection is kind of on the orangey side anyways, so I thought that looked really nice, and I like that additional pop of that color that it brings to the page, especially because I have that mustard strip going across the top. But with that, I decided for my embellishments, I would go for the mustard freckled fawn enamel shapes. So I did pull in a heart from the thicker sheet. I was planning on having that in the upper section with the bird, but I decided to move that down next to the globe and have all yellow enamel shapes. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you again to Sweet and Sassy Scrappers for the crop. Thank you so much, Jenny, for organizing it. I had so much fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.